Hey everyone, welcome to Trip of Design, a show where we are going all the way to different continents and different countries across the world and trying to discuss with designers and architects their trip of design, how do they get inspired, what is their process and so on. And I'm very happy to present to you this episode. I am Suyog, also known as the Fun Indian Guy. I'm a service designer, musician and filmmaker. And in today's episode, we are going all the way to India, where actually I am right now, to talk to a talented architect, Sham Salim.
I am Sham Salim. I am an architect based in Calicut, which is in Kerala, southern India. And I am a co-founder of Aslam Sham Architects, which I run along with my classmate and close friend Aslam.
Aslam Sham is a talented and a young architectural firm with dynamic projects while using unconventional materials and styles. They are creating or they are setting up a nice change in the scene in India, in the southern part of India where they are situated. And I'm very excited to talk to Sham. So let's go and begin the Trip of Design remote edition. Let's begin with understanding more the philosophy behind Aslam Sham Architects.
So yeah, like I mentioned earlier, my practice is called Aslam Sham Architects, which I run along with my founding partner Aslam. And I think we can't point out a specific philosophy as such. Nothing fancy. We try to assess the problem that is put in front of us, that is like the site and the requirements of the client, and we sort of assess all these things and put in our own ideas into it and try to come up with the best possible solution for each without making too much of an impact in the context. And another thing is that I would say we have a slight affinity towards slightly raw material textures and try to basically we don't want to overcomplicate or try to manipulate things too much. So if we are using a material, we want it to be shown in the most raw way possible. And another thing is probably we don't want to, or rather we would prefer not to be set into a certain typology or certain style. Like people would say like this architect only does this style, and we actually find it more challenging when we can get into or venture into various typologies and building forms and styles.
How do you get motivated or how do you get inspired to do projects?
Yeah, so probably I would say most design, any design inquiry or anything, we have to think creatively inspires us when you think of it in a broader scale. But then again, like I told earlier, it's like solving puzzles for us. So most design projects are inspiring for us because everything, even the tiniest bit of project would require a certain sort of problem solving involved in it. So it's that problem solving part that inspires us more than making the thing look beautiful. Of course, the making it look aesthetic comes as a byproduct, but then the more interesting or the more challenging and encouraging part for us when we get into a design is basically how to solve these problems. But in certain projects sort of pushes us our boundaries and thought process completely different in a different direction.
Can you tell us about some of the interesting projects you're working on right now?
We had this very interesting project inquiry that came a while back, and I think it was before the major floods happened in Kerala. But then this was a site that was abutting a river, and this client, that family, basically husband and wife, both of them were very free thinkers, and they wanted a house that wasn't that site, but they didn't want to fill the land, they didn't want to destroy the existing context of the land or any of that, and they wanted to use the entire floor site area possible for vegetation and cultivation, and they wanted to basically make it a self-sustaining house so that they want to retire, take an early retirement and come and settle down here and have all their needs met there. So this particular site was about 1 to 2 meters below the road level, and it was abutting a river. So chances of flooding were high. So, and again, the normal way to go about it would be to fill up the land and raise the level of the land and then build on top of it. But then we didn't want to do that, and this client was also in agreement. So we thought of giving it a basic, like I said, the basic thought process behind the design was to see, since it will flood, we would leave the house at a higher elevation. So what is the way to do it other than filling the land up? So we thought we could probably make the house on stilts. So we made the house sort of an open plan, and so since the house is getting, you are getting into the house at an elevation, we sort of thought of this interesting idea, like, normally you have a courtyard in between a house and you'll have a plant or tree or whatever, but then you're obviously seeing the bottom part of the tree. So we thought we'll build the house in such a way that when you enter, and there will be a courtyard in the middle, but then the courtyard's ground level will obviously be a floor below because the house is tilted. So I sort of wanted to create that, that drama, or if you could call it that, or sort of that additional impact of how the house is rising above. And so as soon as you enter, you would probably see the top of the tree, which is not the side that you are used to seeing, and you'll have the entire length of the site behind it and the river at the end of it forming a sort of a framed view. So that is one thought which we thought would add a lot of drama to the project, because we are architects, we have our the technical side of it, but then we also have the art side of it. So we thought of like these little things that adds a drama to the project.
So in this whole journey from planning to execution, I'm really interested to know what is your favorite part of this whole journey?
Yeah, so the most the satisfying part of the design process, like what we like the most, would probably be that portion where we solve all the constraints and requirements that are put in front of us. For a quality project to come up, I think there are a lot of mathematical calculations and permutation combination stuff that has to be solved in order to reach that final solution. So solving all those requirements and constraints and all those various elements that add up to it, how you collectively solve it and reach an optimal solution. That process and that part of the process is what is most interesting and most satisfying, because once you reach that solution, you feel very satisfied, because after all this, you feel like you have reached that perfect mark where you've managed to address all these concerns and all that. So more than how the building looks from the outside and how the aesthetics work, it is sort of this process that leads us there, because the aesthetic of a building is basically a byproduct of how you work out the spaces inside. So we basically believe that how the quality of each space, how it is felt, is more important in architecture than how it is seen from the outside in a photo or whatever, like from an onlooker. How it is felt for the daily user and how the daily user feels in that space and how much it adds to their experience, quality of experience, is what makes that project, takes that project to the next level. So doing that, the process to solving the puzzle that is put in front of us and reaching this ideal solution is what satisfies us the most.
So here comes the last question, a more holistic question for you. How do you see your role as an architect in the bigger picture of life? How do you perceive your actions and creations in this equation we are living in?
I would say that is a very heavy question to be answered, and I don't know if I am experienced enough or in a position to holistically give a complete answer to that. But then from my little experience and whatever, I say I try to be, like I said, with that, just like with our design, we try to keep things simple. That's our basic philosophy in life as well. To reach the easiest solution without harming anyone or anything else. That same philosophy is taken into architecture for us, because we don't mess with the context that is already there. So we apply the same thing into everything else. So basically, as an architect, probably what you can deal with each tiny space and each tiny project that you get in a holistic way, sustainable way. That would probably add up to the entire society being built that way. Obviously, the urban planning and urban designers and all that would have a lot more to add to how the community feels in each space and how the community grows in the society. I think it is just as saying when if an urban designer has laid out a perfect solution for a certain community, but then after that an individual building that comes up there sort of messes with the whole thing, it negates the point. So, like you say, like little droplets make the ocean. Uh, each tiny project adds up into the community. So, as an architect, if you can do the simple things right and the smaller things right, ultimately it adds up to being big, and the larger things by default gets right. So probably that is a very vague answer, I know, but then I don't think I can be more. This is not a question that we can give a right answer as such or a specific answer as such.